Okay, welcome to Multiple Streams by Any Means podcast, where we show you guys different ways to make money while also highlighting the content creators, the entrepreneurs, and the business professionals that's out here making the money. Today, man, I got my special guest, man, my brother, one of the best, the best I've ever seen do it when it comes down to real estate investing. We got my brother, Mr. Tycoon. How you doing, man?
Welcome. Thank you. I'm doing great. And I want to, before we even begin, I want to say thank you for allowing me to have this time with you. And I'm going to drop a jewel for y'all right now before we even get started. One of the most important things that we have in life is time. So tell people thank you and you appreciate it. But also, we both got these rollies on and we don't just wear them because we got it like that. We got them on because we value our time. Mm-hmm. So let's be conscious of this podcast, whether you're watching or listen to it, to listen to these jewels we about to drop because we really do this shit.
Absolutely. So, like I said, man, he's a real estate investor. So, the purpose of this episode is pretty much show you guys exactly what it takes to get started investing in real estate, while also providing the opportunity to show you guys how to work with Mr. Tycoon, the undisputed wholesale king. The Terrence Crawford of wholesale.
Right.
Undisputed, and he's the best to do it, man. So I guess we'll get started by saying, man, where you from, Mr. Tycoon?
Well, by way of Boston and Cleveland, but I grew up right here where we at right now in Decatur. With the high school out here. Actually went to Coram Middle School and then came over here and went to Gordon. So I consider myself from the ATL by way of Decatur, where it's greater. And this is one of the areas also that I got some of my real estate started in. It didn't always start with real estate, just a little brief background. I went to Gordon High, was an All-American basketball and tennis player, went on the Morehouse, went on the circuit playing tennis, and made some cash, but I broke my wrist playing basketball. Right there, you see that major scar. So when I came back to Decatur, back in the late 80s, it was another pharmaceutical. I got in the pharmaceutical business, but I ain't had no license because, I had some paper, and that was a new thing. But then I got shot, and I realized I wasn't a gangster, so I went back to teaching tennis. Okay. A couple years later, met my wife. She told me teaching women in short skirts wasn't a real job. What you want to do? I said, I always wanted to do real estate. So she said, why don't you join the IBEW and learn how to work on the houses? I said, look at my hand. My hand's manicured. We're in Decatur. We don't do this physical stuff. So I learned about this thing called wholesaling, where you just find the house and you flip it over to somebody else. So it was kind of similar to that pharmaceutical business. You buy low and sell a little higher, being a distributor. And that's where I got my first start at in wholesaling. And the first 9 months made my first $100,000. First 3 years made my first $1 million, and I ain't looked back. Now it's been up and down, but one thing why I tell people that you want to stay in real estate or get in real estate, regardless of what you do, it's like playing Monopoly. As long as you got a couple of houses, you got some income coming in, and don't live above your means, it's a beautiful thing. And that's what I've been doing for over a quarter of a century now, and it's one of the best things in the world to me. I've seen a lot of different business opportunities, and I'm saying it still should be one of the things that you have in your portfolio of real estate, whether you're wholesaling, buying and holding, commercial. We're in a commercial building right now. They rent out the suites in here. So these are like individual apartments, if you can look at it that way. So there's many ways to make money in real estate. Wholesaling just happens to be the one where you don't need to use your cash or your credit. It's more of a skill set and knowing the process of marketing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Now that's what's up. So you were pretty much like an athlete growing up, like you were.
Yeah, I was truly an athlete and an entrepreneur. Was selling candy at 7.
Okay.
So
at 7, started pretty early.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, again, supply and demand in school. We didn't have all the luxuries we had today, and quick story, back in Cleveland, almost like this table, my mother's boyfriend, I can give him a shot, Paul. That's about the only thing he did that was kind of on point. He took me to a numbers house, and the money was stacked up on the table. The money was stacked up on the table,
right.
And I saw that money, and he's like, wow. I was like, man, this is more money I ain't seen in the bank. And he said, you always got to sell something. He said, you always got to sell something and always put your brain first. I said, okay. He said, your brain in your bank. I'm like, okay, I like that. And he gave me $100. He said, you like candy? I said, yeah. I sell a little candy in school. He said, this is the number one rule. Don't never mess up your re-up money. And that's been the foundation ever since then. When I bought the candy, I was buying knowledge back then. A pack of 10 was for 10 cents. Then when I broke it down, I sold it for a nickel in school. So for every dime, I made 50 cents.
Yep.
Next thing I know, My mother looked at my drawer, saw $1,000. I was about 8 by then. She's like, "How you get this $1,000?" Then that's when I should have realized. Then my mother was first one to teach me, if we give a woman some money, it ain't coming back. So she used to borrow my money, then pay me back. So I should have learned that lesson then. But that's where I got my first taste of entrepreneur and business, and that's the same thing I do with real estate now. Is I'm in a position that I can buy some of the houses that I get under contract, and then turn around and sell them, because I'm not under that 30-day pressure where most people hear about wholesaling. You know, you got to get under contract, you got to sell it within the first 30 days. You want to move up the step where you can actually close on it and then take your time to sell it for a little more.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah. But again,
smart. So we all win.
So we all win. And then also, you don't want to take that 50, 100, whatever, and go buy a car. Now you're back on zero. And that's one of the mistakes that I'm seeing everybody doing. They want the jewels of life, but they don't want the jewels of the knowledge of what we sharing here today, and what you share when you teach people about, you know, how to go to the Marshalls and the Ross and all them and buy the stuff and then turn around and resell it. Because it's the same thing. It takes some cash to buy it, but then because you know a deal when you see a deal, and you can determine based on theory, not practicality, not hope, but hard facts of how this works. Okay, I'm gonna buy this gadget right here that I see it selling on Amazon for $50. So I same thing when I see this house in this area selling for $300. I'm able to pick it up for $50, but it need $100 worth of work. But you got to be out of sight to see that junk as a jewel once it's fixed up. But that came from also, you know, the pimps telling me back in the day how you used to take them girls and turn them into them things, you know. So now I do that with houses. I just switched up the keys. I switched it up.
Yeah. Paying taxes now.
Yeah. As little as possible, as Trump says.
Yeah. So that's how you get rid of friends and women. You know, you let them borrow money and ask for it back. Right. And when they never give it to you, now you got an instant reason to
cut them off.
Yeah, cut them off.
Cut them off.
Yeah.
Or you can just get to the point where I'm at now. I can just say no. I ain't got to give you no. I'll teach you how to fish, but I'm not gonna feed you the fish, because I've also learned if you feed them the fish, you're gonna feed them fish forever.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna tell you something interesting though. I hear your story. You said you was a athlete, played basketball and tennis, and then you know you were an unlicensed pharmacist. Yeah. And then you got, like you said, you got shot in the process. Yeah. And then you went to flipping houses. That's kind of like the opposite of Rick Ross, like the freeway Ricky Ross. Right. He was a tennis player. Yeah, I know. He met a whole bunch of interesting people doing that, but he just kept going. Right. And he ended up in prison. So you just kind of play it smart. You got your warning shot, boom. Right. You said, okay, I'm gonna find something safer. So so how did you get into real estate? Like, what was your first introduction into real estate?
Well, even when I was in the game with a pharmaceutical business, you know, that was one thing that some of the guys who were at another level, they had houses around the country. Oh, okay. So I saw it, but not from the investment side. It was like, okay, where you got to put your money at? And that was more so in case something went wrong so that you can have bond money. Yeah. That was their whole strategy.
These kids, they don't follow that rule.
But again, that's a whole nother thing. They don't want to sit down. They don't want to sit down at the feet of the OGs. Yeah. And that was one thing that we were willing to do, was sit down and let somebody school us. We said the game is not to be just told, it's to be sold. So how was it sold to you? By working for them or with them. Yeah. Well, she said, it's getting too heavy. It's getting too heavy in here. Yeah, man. But that's one of the challenges that they don't want to listen. But the RIA groups, you hear about RIAs all the time. I went to a Georgia RIA group. It was Atlanta RIA at the time. And that's where I heard about this technique called wholesaling. When they say you don't need your cash or credit, you got to know how to sell, you got to know how to market. It really takes a hustler's heart. One of the guys said, he didn't say it like that, but that's what I took it. They said, if you wouldn't have put in the work, and I said, okay, I'm willing to hustle. I got the heart of a hustler. And that's another thing, you know, one of my sayings is, in order to get your money right, you got to get your mind right. You got to have the mentality, I'm going to do, as you said in the opening, whatever it takes. Now I just change it just a little bit by whatever it takes legally. Because at one time I was like, by whatever it takes, whatever.
Yeah. Get rich and die trying.
Right. And the thing is, we ain't got to die just because there's so many different vehicles today. Yeah. And that's just what it is. It's just a vehicle, whether you're in the Audi, the S5, the Range Rover, Tesla. They just different vehicles. They can get you there, but you got to know how to drive them. As I was talking to your audio guy, your engineer who set this up for us. You can have the tools, but if you don't know how to use them, you're dead in the water still. And so that's how I got my start in the real estate. Was at Atlanta RIA, going to seminars.
Oh, Atlanta Rio,
Atlanta,
REI.
yeah, REI.
So this was when was this?
This 25 years ago.
So how were you able to find the REIAs back then?
We still had the internet, but it was more so word of mouth also. And they used to have a big meeting up off Perimeter.
Oh, okay.
Off Perimeter. Then they also had their own office back then. But one of the challenges was we didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, they heard about it.
Oh, I got you.
But we didn't hear about it.
It was a secret meeting.
Yeah, it was a meeting going on. But again, we was on the introductory side of it, just like with wholesaling. Wholesaling been around, but it's like the last 5 years that because of social media, the internet, IG, and all these things, that it has really blown up as far as people in the game. But I like to even look at it like this. It's a lot of guys play basketball, but ain't but 450 that play in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's a lot of guys running around here saying they wholesale.
Yeah.
But they ain't in the NBA, the New Ballers Association. They ain't getting no money.
Yeah.
And then also they ain't got the skill. You know, you see guys play ball every day that really can't shoot or dribble. You just go to your local gym.
Yeah.
But they say they ballers.
Yeah.
But they ain't got no skill.
Yeah.
And so there's levels to this, you know. I said Rick Ross, I heard you just say Rick Ross, you know, I said the new Rick Ross, that hook, you know, this shit is highly sophisticated. We just make it look easy bound.
Yeah. Nah, facts. Nah, that's what's up, man. So for anybody that doesn't know what a RIA is, it's more like basically like a meetup full of real estate investors.
Yeah, that's what it stands for, Real Estate Investment Association, RIA.
Yeah.
REIA, Real Estate Investment Association. And they all over the nation. And even those, you got some people who are there who are real players, and then you got some people there who are perpetrators, as we said back in my day, or fraud. They like talking about it. They really don't do the business. And that's the thing that I will warn you about, is that just don't get caught up in the hype. Find somebody who really can help you. And what I'm seeing today in our society, and we kind of talked about that before we even got on the podcast, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of hype. They getting off planes and getting out of the Jag or the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
But they ain't really, they can't help you. They can give you some hype and how you buy in, but there ain't no brains behind it or no substance. And I'm not telling you, I'm just telling you, do your homework, do your due diligence, give it the litmus test. You know, like back in the day, you tried to thump that thing to make sure if it fall to the bottom or not, and to see if it was the real deal. And the only way you're gonna see that is by you got to test it out. And sometimes that means you got to buy the product and see if it's any good or not. Does it produce? If you use the resources of what it's teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically the main method that you execute when it comes down to real estate is real estate wholesaling, right?
Wholesaling, yes.
All right. So just for anyone that never heard of real estate or wholesaling, I guess could you give them a quick definition?
Okay, wholesaling is buying a property at a discount from what we call a distressed seller. So I'll just break that down real quick. I'm dealing with an individual right now. He about to send his daughter off to college. He got some land that he bought years ago when he was on top of his game. Now he's in a distressful situation because he need money by Tuesday to take his daughter back to school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he called me. Well, he actually called one of my mentees reached out to him through what we call cold calling, just a list of homeowners that own property, 2 or 3 or more. And he called him and he answered the phone. He said, "Yeah, do you have any? Are you looking for interested in selling this property out in Covington?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I got another one also." And then the guy said, "By the way, my mentor is Mr Tycoon. I'll get this over to you." He said, "Oh, I know Tycoon and blase." And so that's where we at. But it's finding somebody who has a situation that owns real estate or land. I preferably like real estate, a dilapidated house, a house that needs some work done to it, blue tarp, high grass, windows broken, vacant, because it's a non-performing asset for them. So we want to buy that at a discount, and then I turn it over to the guys who want to fix and flip them, the ones who want to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy the material and get contractors to fix them up. So we buy them at this price because we see that it's in a distressed situation. We buy it low. As I like to say, we like the pawn shop. We look for people who got something and they want to sell at a discount. And they know because they have a need, they going to have to sell at a discount. We going to take it, but we just get under contract. That's why we don't need a license, because we have equitable title in the property when we got a contract. And that's what we're really selling is our contract. We are selling the house, but it's really the contract. So why we don't need a license, because you can't sell something that you don't own. That's why realtors have license to do it. We get a contract that makes it legal for and binding that I can transfer this contract over to you or someone else and make the difference between if I got it for 30 from him and I sold to you for 40. Our average deal is about $20,000 when you good. But you know, most people starting off $5,000. And again, that's $6,000 a year if you just did one a year. And the average person in America makes $35,000 a year. So you doubling up already. And now and you're not locked into that 40 hours or 40-year plan that is going to leave you fucked up in the end. That's just the fact of it, you know, because how you going to retire on 35% of what you couldn't live on 100% of?
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So, cool. So, you find someone that's in a distressed situation.
Right.
You
get under contract.
You get the house under contract. So, you just pretty much, when you get it under contract, it's pretty much saying like you have like an option to buy it, or it's pretty much you saying
I am going to buy it.
Basically, this price would be okay. I got you. So, this house would be bought at this price within a certain time frame.
Usually 30 days.
Okay, and then you go from, instead of actually spending your own money, you actually have someone on the back end that you market the deal to, and they pretty much
bring the money.
Yeah, they bring the money, so you get your cut off top, and then you add a fee to it because you're actually the one that went and found the deal, and basically you sell your contract to
that person,
fix and flipper. Okay,
right. So this uses round numbers real quick. Just say 10,000 is what I got on the contract for. I give him the contract for 20. When we go to the closing, the attorney's gonna cut the check. He gonna give what's called assignment fee, or if we do a double closing, meaning that I'm gonna close with this person, even though I don't have the cash for 10,000. Then I'm gonna go in another room in another hour. We're gonna close because I own it now on paper. Now I got it for 10,000. I'm setting him for 20. He gonna take out the difference of closing costs, and he gonna pay that man his $10,000, and I keep the difference in between. That's called a double closing. Or I can just assign my contract to this gentleman for a particular fee, and you'll see on the back of the hood. This is more technical at one of the live events. For those who may be interested, you can find me at MrTycoon.com. I do them right here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I do also one-on-one coaching also online. To go more into detail, but that's just the as we say, the 10,000 feet view of how the process goes. And some people may say, well, how do you find the buyers for those properties? They're all online. You can actually list the property on MLS once you have it under contract. Or social media is a big thing now that we didn't have a quarter of a century ago. You know, now you have, which you don't hear a lot of people talk about no more, but what's that one site? You only hear people, they used to put everything on it, not eBay, but the Craigslist. A lot of people overseas buy properties. They be on Craigslist looking, and there's different real estate sites now. The internet has made the world a lot smaller of doing business, that people around the world can see things. Now we can put video up online, which used to cost a whole lot of money. We can go to the property, take and shoot a video. Now somebody in Australia or even Japan or China can see the property. They run their numbers, and they can purchase over online now, and call an attorney and do a wire and do a digital signature.
They go to websites like Zillow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So no, actually, so you said you do have a live event because I actually know someone that was mentored by you from you recently in the past, and their business definitely took off. I know they're doing at least 7 figures in sales. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Mechanics, everything. So
Special K and his girl. Yeah. Yeah.
So you so like when you take on mentees, like how does your process work? You go out in the field with them. You do like a.
This is a hands-on mentee program. This is not just video. And Special K, as I like to call him, Superstar Kareem. I went out in the field with them, and I filled out the very first contract. So this is hands-on, just like we're sitting here right now. If we was talking to a seller, we'll put the phone right there. I will talk so that you can listen and hear how I use the script that I'm giving you. See, I just don't give you the script and say, okay, we'll go out here and let's go play. It's almost like how I learned how to play tennis and everything else. Is that the coach is on the field for you. Okay. Today's society, we just want to send you some videos. That may work well with fixing an iPhone or building a website, but when you're dealing with big ticket items, you're dealing with the psychology of human beings, I believe the best way is show and tell. Let me show you as well as tell you. So let me show you. Let's go in the field. Let's walk this house together. Let's go out here and put up your signs. Let's do your marketing. Let's do your text marketing so you can see it. And I'm able to tell you, okay, this is what's gonna happen when you do your text marketing. This is what's gonna happen. People gonna hang up on you. People gonna cuss at you. So I'm preparing you for this war that you will win. But I got to prepare you for war. So this is like the ultimate boot camp where we preparing you for real life, to play the game, but also while you learning, you are earning because we're dealing with live ammunition in that sense. We're talking to real homeowners. So you may not know what all I do, but I do. And I'll do it all now so that you can get a check so you don't check out.
Right.
See, that's why most people quit because they buy this program and it don't work in the first 30 or 90 days and now they're ready to quit. Because they didn't give it enough time. And then also they didn't have somebody there holding them by the hand to hold them accountable to doing the work, but also encouraging them, let them know this is just part of the process. You got to fall down some.
Yeah.
You know, just like I know we work out the same gym. In order to get stronger, you got to tear up the muscle.
Yeah.
You got to put some pressure on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So, all right. So I know you invest like nationwide, right? You
Yeah.
invest all across. So, all right. So anyone in the audience, you know, he is interested in purchasing your home if you're in certain situations. So
Right.
what certain situations do you see? And I know you said one where the guy just needed some money.
Yeah.
What's some other reasons why someone would wholesale their house? Because when it comes to wholesaling, they're basically that's your ability to find people that are in situations where they'll sell their house at a discount and they need money as soon as possible.
Right.
So what's some more scenarios where someone might want to?
Sell their property at a discount situation. One, job loss. Now they can't afford that rental house that they had. That's person that tore up. They may have a mortgage on it, or they may own it free and clear. They got back taxes on it. So that type of distress situation. Another one we're dealing with right now, death. Somebody got a property through a probate. They don't really want the house. They can't afford to take care of the house, so they willing to sell it. Another one is divorce. They got to get rid of the assets because they're going through a divorce. They both angry at each other. Sometimes whoever the one in the most powerful position got more money than the other one, so they got to sell this and pay the other one off. So divorce, job loss, probate, and then sometimes just retire. They're tired of dealing with rental properties. They've been beat up enough with dealing with tenants because they didn't use the right strategy of dealing with their tenants. So they just burnt out, what we call like burnt out landlords. And one of the other one is that's real prevalent is when their income they just can't sustain it no more. You know, they was robbing Peter to pay Paul and they just tired and they burnt out. Or somebody lost a job in the family and now they can't afford it no more. So these are all situations that we help people out of. And that's one thing I want you to understand, whether you're looking to become a wholesaler, is that we don't create these situations and we're not taking advantage of people because they have these situations. We're just offering them a solution. So we like doctors saying, well, this is what we can do.
Yeah.
It's up to them to take this prescription. Yeah.
No, it's pretty much like similar to my business. So, so not only do I purchase items inside of a store and flip them online, but I actually purchase items from people as well.
Right.
So say for instance, you call me and say, "Bam, I got this car right here, man. I just want to get rid of it. I don't have the time to put it on Craigslist." And I look at it and say, "Okay, I can wash it up, maybe add some brake fluid." So what I would do is I would offer, say the vehicle's worth $2,500, Kelly Blue Book in a great condition. I might offer you $1,000 on the spot for it, put $300-400 in the maintenance, and then make my $700-800 on top. So it's pretty much similar to what I do as well, when it comes down to reselling anyways. So all right, so you gave us a lot of different scenarios in which someone would want to sell you the house. How do you actually find these people? I know there's quite a few different ways that people say that they market for for wholesale deals, but what's a couple good tips that you that you use when you look for deals?
Right. Well, one of the number one ways that I tell people is driving for dollars.
Oh, okay.
And what that is driving around the neighborhood looking for a distressed property. Again, a distressed property is a property that looks dilapidated, whether it has a blue tarp. What the blue tarp means that it has some roof damage. Houses boarded up, high grass, meaning somebody's not living there cutting the grass. If you look up on the telephone pole and you see the wires cut from the pole, that means there's no power at this house. And the reason I like those the best, right next to personal referrals, is that you see that property is vacant. Now, text marketing has become popular. It's another one. Text marketing, where you can buy a list. One of my companies that I use is PropStream. And for those who want to reach out to me on IG, I am Mr Tycoon. I can send you a code for a 7-day free trial to PropStream where you can pull a list from. But then they also will skip the list, meaning that they will skip the list and send you the person's number. There's a thing, so that's another way of texting those individuals. However, only because it's a list of vacant houses doesn't mean that the people are motivated to sell the houses. So that's another way. And the way that I got started that I still recommend today is bandit signs. We buy house signs. The person who ride by those and call the number is the person who got a house to sell. They motivated.
Right.
So it's like, you see junk cars, like you say somebody want to sell a junk car. They see that sign, it ain't for the person who ain't got no junk car. And people say, well, do people call it? Aren't they illegal? Yes, it's to get code enforcement, but there's ways around that, like using a Google number. But that's why you want to come to a training and know how to use those different tools, even like the texting service. There's a skill to using that service, putting the right verbiage in the text that it doesn't get spammed out. So those are my top 3 ways right now: driving for dollars, cold calling or cold texting, which you can do both call or text. And the third one is bandit signs. But one of the ones that people forget is just letting people know, hey, this is what I do. I buy and sell houses, passing out cars. Because you never know who in a situation when it comes to a house. But you got to let people know, this is what I'm doing. This is what I do. And those end up being some of your best deals, like the one I just told you about, the one in Covington. He didn't call me personally, but it came through somebody else. But then when he knew it was my company, he was a little more motivated to go and let's make this happen. And I want to try to make it happen for him. But this is the one thing, and you know this, Bam, you got to always keep it business. It can't become personal when you're trying to do a favor.
Yeah.
Because that's when it get fucked up. We trying to do favors and extending yourself, because this is a business for us, and we don't want to fuck up the re-up money.
Nah, you can't fuck the re-up money. That's one of the commandments. Man.
Yeah.
Can't mess it up, man. Nice, what's up, man? So you got basic strategies for anyone that's out there trying to real estate wholesale. Maybe you don't have the resources to hook up with Mr. Tycoon yet, but I know for myself, when I work with students, I like working with people that tried it, made some mistakes, and now they're ready to,
right,
to invest in some knowledge or whatever. But driving for dollars, simply going through your neighborhood, and if you see a house with high grass or it just looks like it's vacant, try to reach out and find out who owns the property and make them an offer. And you said driving for dollars, you said cold call, and then you said referrals
and bandit signs.
and bandit signs. Okay, so when you doing cold calls, you target any specific type of individuals, or you just kind of pretty much target anyone that might be in a distressed situation?
Well, these are different lists you can pull from houses vacant, and now because of technology, you can do things like say, okay, I only want to deal with people who've owned a house for 5 to 10 years. You deal with houses that people who own 2 or 3 properties. So now you can be a little more specific, but then there's also code enforcement lists, people who have been cited from the city. Then you can also get pre-foreclosure lists, people who are behind on their mortgage payment who about to lose a house. You can also get lists for people who water been cut off, or they got high water bills or back taxes. So it's many type of lists out there. And I tell people, the reason my program and my mentorship is so much different is based on who your kind of personality and what it is that you want to do and your time involvement to the business. It's not a one recipe fits everyone, because if you got a little more cash, you can do a lot more different type of marketing strategy. But if you ain't got a lot of cash, you got to use a lot more of your back. So I tell people, you're going to use one of the 3. You're going to use your brain, which that's having the knowledge. Number 2, you're going to use your bank. You can pay somebody else to make the cold calls for you. You can get somebody else to put up the bandit sign, because the bandit signs cost. Or you're going to use your back. So if you ain't got no lot of money, you're going to do a lot of the leg work yourself. That means you're going to do the drive for dollars. You're going to look up the properties yourself using one of the sites like Ben Verified, which is a skip tracing service, probably about $150 a month. But that's cheaper than paying $1 per skip trace.
Yeah.
But you got to do it yourself now. So it's many different ways to do this business. But the main thing is get proper training. Get somebody who really can help you, not just give you a lot of hype.
Right. No, that's what's up. And for anyone that wants to know how to pull those lists of software PropStream, you're able to pretty much find all of these type of data if you know how to use the software correctly. So you can go directly through him, but I'm gonna also leave his link in this video description just so you guys can do a 7-day free trial and use the software or whatever. So all right, man. So 1 second, man. I want to give you something.
What? Say what?
Man, my book, man, Navigate the Great, the GPS to the Road to Riches, man. Want to give you a copy. And this is your copy, but I got to sign it before we get out of here,
Most definitely. First of all, thank you.
Absolutely, man.
Navigate the greatness. You know what? And again, I ain't even ready yet, but I'm a big fan of talking about GPS. And I was just talking about this recently to some young brothers. I said, even how I got here today. I had the GPS coming from Buckhead. It brought me straight out 20,
Yeah.
But and plus I knew where the vicinity was, and I kind of even thought this was probably the plaza, because this plaza been here for a minute. But the thing is, and I want to say this to you all, so I'm gonna look at this camera right here. If you will follow your phone from here to Alabama or even to LA, turn by turn, left by left, right by right, get on the expressway, why is it difficult for you to follow this man when he can tell you how to get there? Because he is a GPS, a guide with a professional system. He know how to go to Marshalls, or how to do what he just said, because I've seen you do it with tennis shoes. Buy people, gear who ain't got a little distress situation, and you buy it off of them, and you clean them up, and you put them back on the market. So why is it so difficult for you to listen to him or someone like myself, those individuals who have made it up and down this mountain of success when it comes to our particular vehicles of creating wealth? But you will follow a computer, but you won't follow a creator. Because that's where they got data from, us.
Right.
So you got to look at yourself and say, why won't I follow this man, but I'll follow a machine?
Right.
I'm going to drop that jewel on you for you to think about that, because that's one of the most baffling things to me. Because they don't argue with this.
No, they don't.
But they argue with you. You sure? Yeah, and I heard. And I see, I'm at the point now at 57, I don't give a fuck. So excuse me if that bothers some of y'all, but I really don't give a fuck whether you like it or not, because this is the truth. You won't listen to the man. And when I say the man, not just the physical man, but the man of his particular mountain that he plays on, or his arena of game he plays in. And now he put in a book form. What they say? You want to hide it from a black man? Put in a what? A book. So congratulations on the book, and I like the topic. I mean the title, Navigate the Great, because that's all it is. It's a recipe. I wrote a book, Success and Not a Secret. It's a system. It's just a system, and he's going to give you the system of how to get there. And it starts with this first: having the mentality to say, "Listen, I'm going to sit at the feet of greatness." I mean, let's look at the biblical principles. Jesus said at the feet of what? The scribes and those individuals before he became a great leader.
Right.
You got to know that you don't know. That's the first key. And be willing to listen. So congratulations on the book, Mr. Brandon McWilliams. So I know him as Bam Bam. But congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, man. So my next question, man. You remember your first deal?
Oh yeah. First deal, right off of Metropolitan. It's still sitting there right now. The house is fixed up, but I had been to Georgia Ray. I know the guy. I got my check in my office right now, and I had found this lady had a duplex. She wanted to sell it. I didn't know how to fill out a contract, so I called up this guy's name was Sean, white boy. Called him on the phone. He said, well, ask her how much she want for it. I'm on the phone literally. How much you want for it? And then I put the phone, how much you want for it? She tell me, she said she want this. He said, ask her if that's the best you could do. Is that the best you could do? And we felt, and again, this is why I believe in mentorship. We filled the contract out, me talking to him on the phone verbatim.
Yeah.
Because when you have a need, or in her situation, she had a need.
Yeah.
She didn't care how good I was or how bad I was.
Yeah.
Can I give her that cash?
Yeah.
So when people get caught up in, well, you need your website, and again, I believe all those things are necessary, but when somebody has a need, you go to the doctor, they may have a degree up there, but can you pull his tooth? Because I'm in pain.
Right.
I ain't never seen too many people research their doctor, looking up their degree and all that. They want the problem solved. So don't get caught up in that, especially when you have a mentor. So I called him on the phone, filled out a contract, took him the contract. He gave me half of my $5,000 earnest money when I gave him the contract back then. And then at the closing, He was gonna give me another 25. He said, just keep the check. I want you to keep that as a memory. He gave me another money cash. I thought taxes was optional. Years later, when I had some tax issues, I realized you just can't pay the folks when you want to. but that's what did I pay for? As one of my mentors say, I paid for that lesson.
Yeah.
See, don't look at it. It is a loss now. Don't get me wrong. But did I learn from it? Because if I learned from it, it wasn't a loss. It was a valuable lesson. So it's just a different way of perspective looking at things because we got to learn. And we're going to fall down. We're going to touch the stove to realize what hot mean. That's just part of life. But the thing is, we can tell you how to live a great lifestyle if you just listen. But that was the very first deal. Got that check in my office still. I still remember to this day. And that's like when that switch, when it goes from faith to fact, that you like, you know. And that's one thing in my book I say, you got to get to that point that you know that this shit work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you said Sean, so white boy Sean, he was like, he helped you on your first deal.
He was actually the buyer who bought my first deal, but he actually walked me through the process, and that's what I knew when I started teaching. That's what people need. They need somebody to walk them through it because you still be a little shaky. Like you got the information, but it's faith kind of. You're walking in faith, but you're like, I don't know, but what about this and what about that? You want somebody to be able to ask that, what about this?
Right.
And I tell them, let's go through the process, and then the fruit gonna speak for itself.
Right.
If it produces, you know what I'm telling you is the truth. But you can't sit back. As I tell people, the proof is in the pudding, not the pudding of Bill Cosby, but the pudding of the action, putting the action in the place. Because the proof is in there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't sit on the sideline and say, is that good? And I even take this for, you know, back in the day when we was players, you know, you look at that girl like, oh, I know that's that thing. And that she. But until you hit, you don't know if it's really real. Because we ain't seen some stuff that look like it's supposed to run like this.
Yep.
It'd be trash, as the young folks say.
Yep, trash. Trash after you smash.
Oh, see, but that's what we do. See how you dropped that jewel right there? Y'all better pay attention.
Hey, man.
This game upon game.
Images, things aren't always how they appear. Just like the internet, you know.
It ain't always what it look like.
Did you meet Sean at the RIA?
Met him at the RIA.
Okay. So it's important why you should involve in some type of community or, you know, something, whatever you're trying to do, whether you want to do real estate or you want to sell products on Amazon or whatever, you know, that's why it's always important to join like a community or just like to network with other people that's doing it. Just, you know, because you never know when you need their help, you know, and, you know, basically, yeah. So you remember your lowest paying deal and your highest paying deals?
Well, my highest paying deal has been 110. I made $110,000 on a wholesale flip. Shit. And my lowest, probably about $4,000. Because bro, now, if the deal's up under $5,000, I don't even look at it. Mostly if it's $10,000, just because of time. And I got students that I can pass those along to. But again, I'm not going to knock anybody because I got students who, they run the situation, they'll wholesale a deal for $1,000. And I'm saying you just negotiate that poorly. But my lowest deal probably $5,000, but I do know my highest deal is $110. I got a personal Mont Blanc 100-year anniversary that when it's a $100,000 deal, I bring that one out. So I haven't done, you know, 150 yet, 200, but 110. I've done a couple of $100,000 deal, but on average, my deals are anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000 if I'm gonna do a deal today. But the thing is, you ain't got to start there. And again, there's some of my students who make 10 times as much money as I've ever made. And that's what a real mentor does. He want to pour everything into his mentee because we live in an abundant world. We've been in Atlanta knowing each other for some years, but and we ain't never ran across each other in doing no business. And I mean that in a positive manner, is that it's enough for everybody. So I want y'all to get out this mentality that, you know, we live in this fucked up society where ain't enough for everybody. It's more than enough for everybody because I understand this, 90% of people ain't gonna do shit anyway. So ain't but 10% of us gonna do it. And then there's those of us who moving toward that 1% that it's a whole nother stratosphere out there. And I'm talking about the Oprah and the Bill Gates kind of money. And most people will never see that because one, it ain't because you're incapable. You're just not willing to put in that type of work. And that kind of work requires some amazing discipline. And just to piggyback on one thing that he said, you want to join a group, whether it's a mastermind, but I prefer to say, make sure that you can touch your mentor. At least
Yeah.
be able to pick up the phone and talk to them, and not,
Yeah.
well, I get back with you and I'll see you on Wednesday night. And say, no, because situations happen where you need to be on the phone. Somebody may be in the Marshalls and say, hey, I see this and I'm looking it up and it's almost like too good to be true. Like, can you double check this for me? Because they say they're selling for $80 online and they got them right here for $9.99 and I got 10 of them and I want to get them, you know?
Yeah.
And am I looking at this right, Coach?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so he's definitely right. We live in a world that's how we were supposed to learn. We were supposed to be mentored. Back in the day when I was coming, we had on-job training. That's all we're talking about mentorship is, OJT. In school, that's what they had, but they took it out of school, and I believe that's systematic, but we're not about to go down that subject line. We're here to talk about wholesaling and entrepreneurship, but you got to have on-job training, and there's nothing wrong with working with somebody. I know some of y'all young cats and young ladies think that he ain't gonna be pimping me. Listen, everybody got to get played in the beginning, but it ain't played. It's just learning. That's the hierarchy of life. And Robert Kiyosaki put in one of his books years ago. He said, "Go to work to learn, not so much just to earn. Because once you got the knowledge, you don't. And not so much you don't need them, but that's what we want you to do. We want you to be independent of us." And be calling us, say, hey, let's partner up on this. Hey, I got a truckload or something now. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's cut a check because he know you've been trained by him, or vice versa with me with real estate. You call me with a deal. I know you understand how the system works, so you're going to give me the numbers, and I'm saying whether it makes sense or not.
Right.
Because you've been trained.
Right.
So that was a great point of being part of an association, mastermind, but just make sure it ain't no bullshit because there's a lot of bullshit masterminds out here in Facebook groups. But the only way you're going to know they bullshit is by getting involved, as y'all like to say, tap in,
Right.
tap in.
Right. Yeah.
So the ball in your court, Mr. Bam. I really appreciate this, man. And I'm so excited about this book because I'll be kicking that GPS all the time. Like, y'all listen to everything else, but except somebody can tell you how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Want to argue with me about everything. You sure cold calling work? Motherfucker, I've been doing this shit for 45 years. You want to ask me, you sure? I like ask Steph Curry how to shoot a three.
Right. So the deal for 110. So how that deal come about? You know,
Alpha read a deal, divorce situation. Wife was getting a lot of the money anyway. It was about a $800,000 house. The wife wanted to fuck over her husband, so she let the house go for $350,000.
Oh man.
So the house was worth more than that. So it was a no brainer. And when I got it for $350,000, I started to keep it. And I should have, looking back at it, but as soon as I got on the contract, I called my associate. He said, "I give you $450,000 for it right now."
Yeah.
And I like, shit, that's $100,000, you know, minus my clothes cost. And I was like so excited about it. I could have got more because technically on an $800,000 house, 65% is the number we use. Roughly, I could have got $480,000 or even $500,000 because the house was in perfect shape. She just wanted to make sure he lost money.
Yeah.
Because she was set on what she was gonna get in the settlement, but they had to sell that house because she got like 3 other houses, and they had to sell that house, and it was up under her to sell it, and she sold it so that he'd lose money.
She must call him cheating and divorce him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Divorce him before he called her cheating.
Yeah.
With the pool guy.
Yeah, because that's what it was about. He was sleeping with his secretary.
Yeah.
And she told me that when she called, she said, I want.
Hey, they tell you their business like when you
people.
They tell you their business.
They
That's the
tell
fun
you
part.
all. And that's the other
the
thing.
fun
You gotta
part.
learn how to shut up and just listen, because that's what they really looking for. They want to fix out the situation, but they want somebody to understand their pain or what they dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's an art in itself, because sometimes when you're young, you just like, I just want to get to work. Okay, that's good. No, you gotta let them share all that. Because she talked to me about 3 days. Even after she closed on the house, she still called her, I got his ass. And I was like, and that was, as they say, the vindictiveness of a woman, a scarred woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying whether she was right or wrong. I'm just telling you, this is what it was. And I'm not saying that men only one cheat. That's a whole nother podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We know that's not true, because technically, statistically, we ain't even gonna go there because I don't even want to start that. But yeah, you absolutely right about people sharing their business.
Yeah, they said
they want to share it all.
Hey man, if it wasn't all about the money, man, you could have got it. You know?
Yeah.
Nah, that's what's up. You see, so dang, yeah. So whenever, so these people, yeah, they normally going through something emotional or whatever, man. Whenever, so you got to play onto those emotions, just hear them out.
Right.
Um, all right, so look, man, I want to talk about I want to talk about ARV and what's considered a good deal. So ARV is the after repair value of a house, basically a house in great condition.
Right.
So like, how do you? So what's a good deal to you?
Okay. Well, the formula is 65% time the ARV, and we're gonna take it up to 70 because now they will take it to 70,000. So we're gonna take a $200,000 house after repair value, meaning this house has been fixed all the way up. It's in perfect shape. It's within a 1 mile radius. The closer, the better to your subject property. So we're gonna say this house on the same street, 123. Bankhead, even though we know Bankhead's name been changed. 123 Bankhead. House I got is at 103 Bankhead, so like 5 houses down, but it's in terrible shape. So this house will sell for $200,000. It's sold for $200,000. So we would multiply that times 70%. 70% times 200 is 140. We subtract what the repair cost is. So this house, this lady says she wants $30,000 for, needs almost $80,000 to be fixed up to look like a $200,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
So that 80 plus 10 is 110. So I just told you 70 times 200 is 140. Where does the 70 come from? That's what a hard money lender, for those who hear all these terms, hard money lenders, that's what they will loan. They will loan you enough money to purchase the house plus fix the house up. So at that 140, 110 is what I say is going to be what them to fix it up, and what the price is they asking. That means there's a $30,000 spread for me to be able to sell this house to that person.
Right.
So that's how I come up with my number. These guys today, they just get a house under contract and just put 10,000 on it. They don't understand that formula. That's why they can't sell the deal. That's why they lying to the homeowner. So if the homeowner said that they wanted 100 and they take $180,000 to fix the house up, the numbers don't work.
Right.
Because that's 180, 140 is the most they're gonna give them. So you $40,000 over what the hard money lender will loan, plus you ain't added your fee for your wholesale fee. So that's why I tell people this is really a math business. As long as you can do basic arithmetic, you can do this business because you're using numbers that's already been established by the sales in the area, which was a 1 mile radius, similar in bedroom and bath, similar in square footage. So that's how we put our numbers. It's almost like Kelly Blue Book for real estate. Is how we determine these numbers.
You ever use Zillow when determining these numbers? Or
You can use Zillow, but you got to manipulate the numbers a little more. You have to be more strategic with it. When you see that Zestimate is a lie, because how they do that is they just take the last 10 houses that sold, whether they sold for 80 or 800, and divide it by 10 houses. If that's what they add up. That's not how you do a real comparison.
Yeah.
Almost like when you was talking about Kelly Blue Book, when they ask you, is this car in excellent condition or okay, or is it, a piece of trash?
Right.
So but if they took all three of those cars and add them together and say divided by 3, that's the car, then now the trash car is almost the same price as the one in good shape.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
Plus, it's like you comparing SUVs and sedans and motorcycles.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they just kind of get in the radius. It might be apartments over here,
A condo,
condos,
right.
and big houses, little houses.
Right.
Wholesaling, is this something that are any of your students part time? Is it something that someone can do part time?
Yeah, you can do it part time or full time. And one of the things I love to say, you can make a full time income doing it part time. But I really mean you got to do it part time. Meaning you got to put the time into it. And again, as I was saying, you use your bank back or your brain. If you got the bank, all you got to do is call back the leads. You let somebody else get the leads for you, meaning that they do the skip tracing for you, and they give you the lead once somebody say they want to sell. So you can outsource a lot of that. But one thing that I tell people when you first started, before you start outsourcing, you need to know how to do it yourself in case your budget or your income doesn't allow you to pay somebody to do it. Almost like changing tires. I don't change no tires, but I know how to change a tire.
Yeah.
And so my thing is that you want to learn how to do it, at least know how to do it if push came to shove.
Right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You already gave us like a weird, odd scenario in which someone wanted to wholesale a house. As far as like the what lady's going to do a divorce. You got one more crazy story for us? Like one more odd story in which someone wanted to sell their house, or or it could have been stored where it took so long to get under contract. Just the odd
Yeah.
scenario involving the
Well, I
wholesale
got
deal.
one with one of my students called Superstar D. This deal took a year long to get done because that when we got the house under contract, the person that we got the house under contract only owned 50% of the house
Oh yeah,
because it was a state property.
yeah.
And so we had to go to the other family members. It ended up being like 8 other family members that we had to get quit claim deeds from. And when it turned out in the end, they also was able to get like 4 other lots with the property. And that was like an $80,000 wholesale deal that took a year long. And it was her first deal. And it took her that long. And this is one of the things that I learned from it, and hopefully that one of you all may learn. Only because that one deal was difficult for her to do, she didn't even try to get no more leads. But I told her it was going to be a deal, but she just kept waiting on that deal, kept waiting. So she didn't try to get no more deals. It's almost like you got this one product that you bought. It ain't selling yet, but you know it's going to sell, but you don't go buy nothing else. You don't go do nothing else. And but that was an $80,000 flip and ended up being almost like a $200,000 flip because we got these 4 other lots with it for the same price because they had these lots tied up in it. And they was over in Vine City. So that was a great deal. It took her a year, and as I said, I had to keep her on life support during the whole time of the mentorship because just for the record, when she was in the program, it was $10,000, which this program is $20,000 now. And even her husband came over to the office, had his gun on, like, you know, my wife paying you $1,000 a month and ain't nothing happening and this and that. And so I've had some crazy situations dealing with mates. And just want to say this to you. If your mate's the one who's in corporate, whether it's the male or the female, you got the entrepreneur mentality, it can work out. It's a little more difficult because they like security. And you like, okay, but the security and her husband happened to be a Wells Fargo driver. So ain't but so much your income gonna make. You may be driving around a lot of money, but you ain't making a whole lot of money. And I'm not knocking his career. A former military man. Best shots out to him. They're doing their own thing now. Matter of fact, they just had a baby. But that was a crazy deal because of keeping her engaged in the business. Like, come on, gotta stay with it. You know, we working through this. We got to get the other one from this person. And she was a go getter because she was a debt collector. So she had some crazy skills, like going through Facebook. One other situation deal she brought to the table was she contacted the church and let the church people know to get in touch with Miss Johnson, so Miss Johnson would call us about a house that she owned. So it's a lot of strategies out there, but you got, as you were talking about, you got to be a go-getter. You got to have that hustle mentality by any means. So she would call the church, call people, last job, call their cousin, auntie. And one thing when you calling people, you got to let them know that I'm not a bill collector. I'm not a bounty hunter. I'm trying to put some money in your pocket. And this other last part about that is this. If you tell them, hey, I can give you $500 if I close this deal, work with it, be like, Auntie Jan, hey, somebody on the phone, won't you? It don't take a lot of money to get somebody to talk about you, you know. So,
Yeah.
But this is in a positive light. Yeah.
Okay, man. Before we wrap it up, man, I want to play a quick scenario, man. You just drove past my house.
Okay.
I live in Alabama now. You know, I'm
Okay.
taking a job at a factory or something. You notice that I got grass growing, and you just like a regular guy. You haven't quite, well, as a matter of fact, yeah.
You ain't got the skills up yet to be able to figure out where to go. What's the steps?
Yeah, or maybe you've been doing some research, and maybe you're a new mentee, but nevertheless you somehow find my contact information just through Google or Facebook. How would that call go? I'm Bam.
Okay.
You know, you Mr. Tycoon, and you trying to get my house, man. You know, quick scenario. Obviously, it's not gonna be as much.
Okay.
Look.
Well, when I looked up and I see your last name, Mr. McWilliams, so I would say Mr. McWilliams, and I probably just use Shakur. This is Shakur, and I see you own a house at 123 Bankhead, and also see this is an Alabama number, and look like you haven't been in the area in a while. I just want to know, are you interested in selling this property? Because it look like it's in some bad shape, and I'm an investor in the area, and want to know if you're interested in selling.
Well, man, I definitely thought about it because I was gonna fix it up, but it's a little too much money out of my pocket. My credit ain't really right, man. So what can you talk more.
Okay. Well, Mr. McWilliam, as I said, I'm an investor, and I don't want to drag you along. I want to give you as less as possible. And I know you want to get as much as possible. So, so I don't even want to play this game of okay, what you're giving. I want to give you $1,000, but I know you ain't gonna take that. So just let me know what it is that you want, and I can see if that number will work.
Well, yeah, it's property worth at least 40,000 in the condition it's in. Well, can you do 30?
Okay. Well, Mr. McWilliam, let me look this up right now. Now, first of all, this is for the camera. Now, I already looked the property up. I know what the comps are for the area.
Oh, okay.
Even with him saying $30,000, the psychology. Now, this is really teaching. Now, the psychology. He say, "What about 30?" I got to say $20,000 because if I say $30,000, what's the first thing you gonna think?
I'm like, I could have got 35.
Thank you. So I got to say 20 because that's just human nature. And this is the part that you can't get in the video, even though I can say it right here. But in real life, until you go on and say 30, and then you're like, well, can you make it 32? Because I just think about I got taxes on it and this and that. So I got to say, first of all, Mr. McWilliam, I was thinking more because I bought some areas and properties in that area. I was thinking more like $20,000. I mean, can we make that work for you to 20, Mr. McWilliam?
Well, how fast can you close?
I can close in 7 days, Mr. McWilliam.
Yeah, done.
All right. Let me get an email. I got your number. I got the property address. I'm going to email this to you right now. Matter of fact, I'm going to type this up while we're talking. You got a moment. I'm going to type this up right now, and I'm going to send it over to you. You can do a digital signature while we're on the phone. I'll get this over to my attorney, and I'll give my attorney your number. He can give you a call, and we can get this done in 7 days.
Okay, let's go. Yeah,
And that's
close right there.
And that's how I go.
That's
now,
close.
One of the other things with that 30 and that 20 that I usually hit him with, if he go to, I said, okay, Mr. McWilliam, let's be fair. I come up half, you come down half. Let's meet at 25. Let's be fair about this.
Exactly.
But again, I already knew I was willing to pay 40 for it based on what the comp said, not because of my emotions. The numbers spoke that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is why you want to have your stuff already. Remember, we always jokingly talk about playing chess and checker. I already know what moves I want to make before I even get on the phone.
Yeah.
Because I got it right there at my fingertips. It's not a long process no more as it used to be. So these are some of the things that you get when you work with a great mentor and somebody who has the skill, the longevity in this business. Remembering when we didn't have all these tools that are available today, what we had to do. Pen and paper. See, some of y'all don't even know what a fax machine is. Y'all so young, but we still remember. I still remember the fax machine. I still remember dial-up when you be sitting there waiting for it. Y'all would never listen to the songs y'all listen to today on dial-up. But this has been the evolution of the business and this world that we live in. And as you said, we about to close out. I just want to say thank you again. And I love the title, Navigate the Great. We got to do one for Navigate the Great to Real Estate. We do one for each subject matter. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you, and hopefully I've said something. I know I dropped some jewels. Now it takes a jeweler to really understand a real jewel, especially a diamond in the rough. That's that old pimp stuff. You can see that diamond in the rough. But I'm gonna close it right there. Got a young cat over there checking it out. He hearing them jewels we dropping today.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man. We're gonna get them investing, man.
Okay.
Yep. All right, cool, man. So all right, so make sure we give them make sure they know how to reach out to you, man, and know what you got. So you got the mentorship program available. You got anything else available in the ebooks?
Yeah, I got stuff on at MrTycoon.com. You go to MrTycoon.com. That's MrTycoon.com. You can also follow me on IG at I am Mr Tycoon, and the real Mr Tycoon on TikTok and Mr Tycoon on YouTube. Now, for those who are really interested, you can text my executive assistant at 404-585-1164. That's my executive assistant. Only text. You will not get that phone will not be answered, just for texting only. And we'll be back in touch with you to set up an interview to see if you fit the qualification to work with me or work with my team. So again, I'd like to say thank you, Bam. Mr. Brandon McWilliam, the newest author. Make sure y'all get y'all copy. Copy right now. And follow me on IG because after I read it this week, I'm going to give you all my take on it. I know it's already good. The title enough says enough. And then again, just like my website, I really do this shit.com. That is my website. I really do this shit.com. I know personally because he talked to my little king, Sincere, about this business. And he really do this shit. So that's why I even came to spend my most valuable asset, my time to sit down to share with him and share with you all. So thank you again. And get your copy.
Absolutely, man. So, been another episode of Most Streams on Any Means, man. And remember, great things go to those that hustle.